Lower your expectations of comfort before you listen. This is not a story meant to soothe you. It is a curtain pulled aside, not violently, not cruelly, but with the calm hand of someone who has already seen what waits behind it. There are truths that survive only when spoken quietly, not because they are false, but because they are dangerous to illusion. And illusion, as you may have noticed, is the preferred architecture of society. It keeps people compliant, hopeful, easily guided. I was not warned about her nature because warning would have required honesty, and honesty disrupts order. So let us speak as if no one is listening. From the beginning, we are taught to romanticize, to soften edges, to tell ourselves stories where desire is mutual innocence and affection is a fair exchange. We are told that understanding comes through openness, that harmony is achieved by revealing everything, that love is a negotiation between equals who want the same thing in different words. But watch closely, really watch, and another pattern emerges. Not wicked, not angelic, practical. Her nature is not what she says it is, nor what poets praise, nor what moralists defend. It is what she does when conditions change, when certainty disappears, when power shifts hands. Human beings reveal themselves not in promises, but in pressure. No one wanted you to hear this because it fractures the fantasy that desire is democratic. It is not. Desire follows hierarchy the way iron filings follow a magnet. It bends towards strength, stability, and advantage, even when the mouth insists otherwise. This does not make her evil. It makes her human. But human nature is rarely flattering when examined without perfume. I learned this not in betrayal, but in silence, in the pause between messages, in the subtle recalibration of tone, in the moment when affection remained, yet respect quietly departed. Have you ever felt that shift? That moment when nothing is wrong, yet everything is different. That is not mood. That is instinct recalculating. Her nature is adaptive. It responds to environment the way water responds to gravity. It seeks elevation, security, and momentum. When those qualities are present, devotion flourishes. When they fade, interest thins, not as punishment, but as correction. No one warned you that attraction is not loyalty, that warmth is not commitment, that intimacy does not suspend evaluation. She is always measuring, not maliciously, automatically, measuring trajectory, direction, capacity. Can he hold form under stress? Can he remain himself when desired? Can he lead without begging to be followed? These questions are never asked aloud. They are felt. And here is the truth that was buried beneath politeness. Asterisk, asterisk, she does not want your surrender. She wants your solidity. Asterisk, asterisk, the man who dissolves for her pleasure becomes, over time, invisible. Not because he lacks goodness, but because he lacks gravity. He orbits her world instead of building his own. And nothing loses value faster than something that abandons itself willingly. This is why admiration fades when it is too easily won. Why devotion becomes expectation, then burden. Why affection, once freely given, is quietly taken for granted. I once believed love was earned through sacrifice, through consistency, through proving again and again that I would stay, that I would bend, that I would choose her even at the cost of myself. What a tragic misunderstanding. Sacrifice does not inspire reverence. It invites consumption. Her nature does not crave the man who gives everything. It responds to the man who chooses who can give but does not need to, who can stay but is not afraid to leave. This is not cruelty, it is equilibrium. Think of a mountain. It does not pursue climbers. It does not apologize for being difficult to reach. Yet people cross continents to stand upon it. Why? Because elevation demands effort, and effort creates value. No one warned you that when you make yourself easily accessible, you lower perceived worth. That availability without selectivity signals desperation. not kindness. That a man who adapts too quickly teaches others how little resistance he offers. Her nature is sensitive to this, deeply so. She feels safety not in your promises, but in your boundaries, not in your words, but in your ability to say no calmly, without drama, without fear. A man who cannot refuse cannot protect. And protection, real protection, is not violence or control. It is direction, structure, the quiet confidence that chaos will not overtake the space you occupy. When that confidence disappears, anxiety replaces desire. She may not articulate it, but she will feel it, and feelings guide action long before reason is invited into the room. This is why some men are loved fiercely without ever explaining themselves, while others explain endlessly and are slowly abandoned. It is not fairness at work, it is instinct. I wish someone had told me that affection is not sustained by reassurance, but by respect. That respect is born not from compliance, but from consistency of self. Her nature does not want to manage you. It does not want to instruct you on who to become. It wants to encounter a force already in motion. When that force falters, she adapts. She pulls away. She tests. She redirects her attention elsewhere, not because she is cruel, but because stasis feels like danger. Movement is safety. This is the truth that was erased. Asterisk asterisk, she is loyal to strength, not sentiment. Asterisk asterisk, strength not as domination, but as coherence. A man whose actions align with his values, whose emotions exist but do not govern him, who feels deeply yet remains sovereign. I did not understand this until I lost it, until I watched interest drain from eyes that once held warmth, until conversations grew polite, until presence was replaced by obligation, and in that quiet unraveling, I saw the pattern clearly. Her nature had not changed, mine had. I had mistaken emotional exposure for intimacy. I had traded structure for closeness. I had surrendered the very qualities that made connection possible. No one warned me that love does not grow in collapse. It grows in form, and this is only the first layer. Because beneath attraction lies something more unsettling, something few dare to name. It is not about love at all. It is about power. And once you see that clearly, you will never hear affection the same way again. Power is a word people fear because they confuse it with cruelty. They imagine clenched fists, raised voices, domination in its ugliest costume. But true power is quieter than that. It does not announce itself. It arranges the room before anyone notices the furniture has moved. No one wanted you to hear that her nature is oriented toward power, because that truth offends the language of romance. It disrupts the story that love floats freely, untouched by hierarchy or consequence. Yet remove power from the equation, and nothing that follows will make sense. Not her attraction, not her withdrawal, not her sudden certainty that something changed. Something always changes. Power shifts. She feels it long before you do. When a man begins to seek approval instead of assuming it, when he waits for permission instead of creating direction, when his mood becomes dependent on a response, the balance tilts. And once tilted, it rarely returns to its original shape. This is not punishment, it is gravity. I once watched a man lose a woman without a single argument. He was kind, attentive, emotionally articulate. He listened, he adjusted, he gave her everything she asked for, and more she never requested, and slowly she grew restless, irritable, detached. He asked what he had done wrong. She said nothing, and she meant it. What she could not say was this. Asterisk, there is nothing left to lean on. Asterisk, her nature does not seek a pedestal. It seeks a pillar. Something solid enough to press against, to test, to feel resistance from. When resistance disappears, so does orientation, and disorientation breeds discomfort. This is why excessive accommodation backfires. Why endless reassurance numbs instead of comforts? Why a man who centers his entire world on her presence quietly communicates that his world is small. And a small world is not a safe one to inhabit. Power, in its truest form, is the capacity to remain unchanged by external fluctuation, to desire without desperation, to care without clinging, to lose without unraveling. Her nature watches this carefully, not consciously, not analytically, instinctively. She observes how you handle absence, how you respond to uncertainty, how you behave when things do not go your way. These moments speak louder than affection ever could. Do you tighten? Do you bargain? Do you over-explain? Do you try to regain control through words? Or do you remain steady, letting consequences unfold without panic? This is where attraction either deepens or quietly dissolves. I was once convinced that emotional transparency was the highest form of courage, that revealing fear would inspire closeness. But fear does not invite protection. It invites management. And management is not desire. A woman does not want to manage the man she loves. She wants to trust that he can manage himself. This is the difference no one teaches. Self-command is not emotional suppression. It is emotional governance. You feel the storm, but you do not let it steer the ship. You acknowledge doubt, but you do not kneel before it. Her nature relaxes in the presence of this. It senses that chaos will not leak into the shared space, that decisions will not be outsourced to mood, that the future, though uncertain, will not be approached timidly. When this confidence is present, she softens. When it disappears, she hardens or leaves. And here is the most uncomfortable truth of all. She will rarely explain this to you. Not because she is dishonest, but because much of it lives beneath language. She may tell you she wants communication, vulnerability, closeness, and she means it within limits. But when vulnerability erodes form, when closeness eliminates polarity, her nature reacts before her ideals can intervene. She will feel less, and feelings, once cooled, do not reheat on command. Men often accuse women of contradiction here, of saying one thing and responding to another, but it is not contradiction. It is hierarchy. Ideals sit on top, instinct sits beneath, and when the two conflict, instinct decides. Always. This is why lectures about fairness fail in matters of attraction. Nature does not negotiate. It responds. I wish someone had warned me that love does not exempt you from evaluation, that commitment does not freeze perception, that intimacy does not end testing. It intensifies it. The closer you are, the more visible your weaknesses become. And weakness, when unowned, erodes trust. Her nature is not cruel enough to destroy you outright. It simply disengages. It reallocates energy. It becomes less invested. And by the time you notice, the verdict has already been rendered. This is the silence men misinterpret as mystery. It is not mystery. It is conclusion. Understanding this changes how you move through the world. You stop performing goodness and start cultivating strength. You stop explaining yourself into exhaustion and start letting actions speak. You stop chasing certainty and start embodying direction. And direction is magnetic. A man with direction does not need to persuade. He invites. He does not rush to define the relationship. He allows it to form around him. He does not fear loss because his life is not built around a single attachment. Her nature senses this independence and responds with curiosity, with respect, with a willingness to invest, because investment requires confidence in the structure it is placed upon. This is the practical consequence of the truth they did not want you to hear. To be loved deeply, you must first be unneedy. Not cold, not distant, unneedy. Neediness is hunger without discipline. Desire without containment. It leaks. It stains everything it touches. Unneediness, on the other hand, is abundance held in reserve. It signals that you choose connection, not cling to it, that you want, but do not require. That you can walk beside someone without leaning, this is not a tactic. It cannot be faked for long. It is a state of being built slowly through self-respect, purpose, and the refusal to abandon oneself for approval. Her nature does not fall for performances. It responds to reality. When you become this kind of man, something paradoxical happens. You stop obsessing over her reactions. You stop monitoring every shift in tone. You stop trying to control outcomes. And in relinquishing control, you gain power. Because power was never about holding tighter. It was about standing firm enough that holding becomes unnecessary. This understanding spills beyond romance. It reshapes friendships, careers, leadership, the way you carry your name into a room. People respond to those who do not chase them. Women respond to men who do not vanish into them. I did not learn this from victory. I learned it from loss, from watching what disappeared when I gave too much, too soon, too freely, from realizing that love without leverage is fragile. Her nature did not betray me. It followed its design. And once you see that design clearly, without anger, without bitterness, you stop resenting it. You adapt. You build form where there was none. You create structure where there was collapse. You become someone who can be desired without being consumed. And when that happens, the world grows quieter. You no longer beg for warmth. You generate it. You no longer fear abandonment. You stand complete. This is the second layer of the truth, and beneath it lies the final one, the most difficult to accept. It is not about her at all. It is about you.